afraid to stand up. This I'm never gonna give up. I'm lightning, no fear, just adrenaline. Head back on attack, thunder for a soundtrack.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Patrick. Today's session, we can't do it too long of an intro. We can't screw around because there's a lot of traffic coming to the gym, so I took my pre-workout too early. So I'm ready to rip my face off. We just gotta go. It is a back and hamstrings day. Couple program changes, so I'll run you guys through what we changed when we get to it. But this is gonna be a monster session. I'm hyped, so we can't fool around. Pre-workout's already kicked in. Let's rock. This says my last warm-up / feeder, right? It's 3 plates, decent weight. For me, it's not heavy. But I'm gonna lock in as if it's the same as a top set. Warm-up's gotta look the same as your top set so that your top set feels the same. Oh, why? When I do this exercise, while I'm going, it doesn't feel that hard on my back. And then I get off of it and my upper back is smoked. Yeah, a little switch to the program. Second thing on the menu is the standing hamstring curl. Now, this machine literally obliterates your hamstring in the shortened position, so fully flexed like this. The reason why we made the switch before I was doing the seated hamstring curl, that one's gonna hit you more in the lengthened position. So with the RDL that we have next, or an SLDL, that's also gonna hit you hard in the lengthened position because there's really no tension when you're short. Obviously, it's when you're bent over. So we're gonna smoke the shortened position while we still have that juice because we're pretty fresh because, you know, second exercise in the rotation. Then we move over to a lengthened position, which is gonna be the SLDL, and then another lengthened position later in the workout, which is gonna be that seated hamstring curl. So adding this in second, it's gonna be ideal while we're still fresh and while our hamstrings haven't really been touched yet. So that's why we have this second. Couple things so that your lower back doesn't go crazy. You want both your knees, like your thigh, so like just above your knee, jammed into this pad. You're leaning over slightly, and you don't want to be like lower back snapping it up like you're twerking to get a swing, okay? So I want to have slight flexion in my glutes, knees jammed into the pad, and I'm gripping this handle tight as hell, like I'm getting rammed from behind. Tightness in the glutes, lean a bit and explode. Like that, that's one. Easy. But rest in between legs, don't be a goofy. It's literally obliterates English. This obliterates the hamstrings, I'm telling you guys.
Is it old to the death? Better hold your breath in the cell. I'll prevail, ready, set from hell. Ring the bell when you're finished. I'm a grown man and win it. Sacrifice it to the demons.
A lot of people, okay, they underrate the setup. The setup is super important. You're probably thinking, like most people, yo, forget the setup, bro, just go hard. But this is the thing. To target a specific musculature, okay, I'm using some big boy words, to the point where your technique doesn't break down while you're pushing to failure is why this setup is so clinical. Because you could probably do that same way that I'm doing with your lower back twerking, you know, you're hitting a little Nicki Minaj twerk, and you're getting your erectors to fire instead of your hamstring. That's the problem, is you're getting your erectors to fire instead of your hamstring. So if I nail my setup and I'm super in tune with the setup and how it's supposed to be and I put effort into it, when I go and I push so hard and I do a little swing and I do a little this and that, my technique is still the same, and that little push is all going to the target musculature, in this case my hamstring. Programming changed. We swapped out the RDL for the SLDL. I would argue that the SLDL is slightly better than the RDL just for the fact that with the SLDL, you're touching the floor, so your technique is more standardized. Me in the beginning, why I initially had the RDL programmed was that I just didn't have the range of motion to do an SLDL. But as I performed RDLs for many weeks and my RDLs got stronger, I tried out programming the SLDL and I was able to get the full range of motion. So if you can't do an SLDL, I would say start with an RDL, work your weight up significantly on that with good technique, and then try making the switch in maybe 8 to 12 weeks. You'll notice that maybe you have some more range of motion.
When you screaming, commit to your thought. Do it now or you lost in the darkness. You will never wake up so conscious, anxious. Why are you so scared of feeling pain, bitch? Devil in your soul, cut it now and then you'll go. Walk on the dark path, kill and you feel that. Never in your life you gotta rush from the kickback. Matte black, black, 10 knife on the neck, man. Hear the whispering, devil taking over them. Listen to my words of Freddy telling you the devil's work.
So when you switch up something in your program, right, like even though there's very similar exercises like an RDL to an SLDL, don't think you're a big man and you can do the exact same weight even with a slight progression, with a slight program change. You got to give it time. You got to adapt to the new exercise, even though they're fairly similar. And I'm strong in an RDL, I should be strong in an SLDL. I would say right now I've programmed the SLDL over the RDL for maybe 4 to 5 weeks now, and my strength is somewhere in the realm of like 75 to 80% back. So don't be afraid to lighten the weight a bit when you're trying to learn a new movement and you're programming something else, because you won't be able to, hit the same numbers as something that you've programmed for a long time if you're changing up the exercises. But
Is it old to the death? Better hold your breath. In the cell, I prevail, Freddy.
need a little intermission after the SLDLs. A conventional lat pull down, wider grip here, target those lower lats. I had a different workout in there where I had a D handle on like a hammer strength thing, but to be honest, long story short, I had too many middle lat exercises and not really any focusing on the lower lats. So I think this is a good movement for this day. One, because it's a pull down and I don't have another pull down in the routine. And also I'm smoking my erectors on the SLDLs, so like that mid to lower back area. So now just to like cap it off, where that area is kind of warm already, now to hit my lower lats, I feel like in my head it just makes sense. I don't know if there's any science to back that, but like if I hit my mid to lower back and then next I do my lower lats, it's got stimulus in all that area. It's gonna help me build like the thickness, I think. Could be wrong. If anyone knows better, correct me. But so I'm playing with the grip a little. When Justin Bieber can't even get me hyped, there's a problem. There's a real problem there. When that throwback JBU doesn't get you litty, Houston, we have an issue. We have a problem. Could have said this a lot earlier in the workout. On lat exercises, you want to keep your shoulder blade locked in position. That way the tension is going to stay on your lats. When you're doing exercises that are mid-back focus, like trapper, rhomboids, teres, and you're like majority of rows, you want to allow your shoulder blade to come forward so you're in scapula protraction, because those back thickness muscles are responsible for scapula retraction. So just think mid-back growth, round the shoulders, protract the scapula, lat growth, keep the scapula locked, and just move your arm. A lot of people might think, yo, that whole, starting your workouts with the shortened position exercises and then ending it with the lengthened, bro, that's all too much, just train hard, all this bullshit, right? Like people that say that shit, like, it's obvious that they haven't been training long enough for it to matter, which is true. But one quick realization that I've had by switching up this training that is super tangible, right? Like it's something I can physically see that it's making the difference, is if I put this workout at almost the end of my workout like I have now, versus the first hamstring exercise we did, right? At the end of the workout, I can still hit the same numbers with the same technique on this exercise, having at the end of the workout. However, if I put this at the beginning of the workout, I will still hit the same numbers, but then when I go to do that other hamstring where it's overloading in the shortened position at the end of the workout, my numbers will fall off. So it's just something in my logbook that I can easily see and be like, well, if I'm hitting the same numbers later in the workout versus the other one, there's a drop off. Maybe I should put that one first. That's pretty much something that you can tell in your training to just confirm the changes that you've made, something like that, right? So just from that standpoint alone, if you don't look at like, lengthen, shorten position, where it's loading, whatever, that result in itself should be enough proof to maybe think about it. Honestly, I've been contemplating with this exercise if I should go one arm at a time, because I really like the stability it provides, but I just feel like it's a little rough on my elbows and like I can't get the alignment perfect because I feel it in my forearm. If I lean to one side and focus one side at a time, I can get better bicep. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Feels a lot better. I don't know if it's a cramp or my biceps don't work. Fuck, that hurts.